Welcome back. Another day of me recording with a very, very creaky voice. So I'm sorry about that. Today we're going to be looking at some boaty goodness. I think it was Mole from Wind in the Willows that said there's nothing quite as much fun as messing about in boats, but I would put an addendum on that, or a bit on the end, that basically says, and drawing them. I love drawing and sketching boats. I love trying to inject a little bit of movement and a little bit of fun into them. So this video is basically going to be split up into three simple tips of how to improve your boat drawing, or how just to have fun with boat drawing. Doesn't necessarily have to improve, you can just try them and have a play and just a mess about. So let's get cracking. So number one, simplify. So what do I mean by simplify? Well, let me just draw a simple boat for you. So this is a simple yacht. Now they have a mast, typically some kind of cabin, and the cockpit is at the back. Now they also have something called a boom, which is a little mast that sticks out from the main mast, and then they have something called a forestay, which is a wire that carries the foresail, sorry. So that's basically what a yacht looks like from the side. And then they have a mainsail, which generally has some battens in it, just to give it some shape. And then they have a foresail, which is going behind their mast here, and that hangs on, or furls, in other words rolls, around the forestay here. There is other elements, but primarily that's what we're looking at today. So mainsail, foresail, the hull of the boat here. So this here is the water lines, the boat's sitting on the water there. So there you go. Now at the back of the boat here, there is the cockpit, and there's mainly people sitting there, hopefully sailing the boat or drinking gin. So that's what a yacht vaguely is, really. Now, in the first tip, what I want to do is simplify that down to a shape. Now, that shape is basically this. So basically what I'm saying to you is, when you see a boat out at sea, out on the ocean, what it's really going to look like is just more of a shape. You don't have to go into a huge amount of detail. You don't really have to draw everything to suggest, all the different components. Once you start drawing in the masts and all the different bits and bobs, it can actually end up looking a little bit fussy. So if you were doing a really simple drawing of some yachts on the ocean, you can really simply do something like that. And that, you could draw the mast in if you want. And that could either be sailing towards you or away from you, depending on how how it's set up. To me, it looks like it's sailing towards you, because that looks like the boom, which is that bit there. You can draw a boat, really abstract. You could just do something like that sort of shape. If you were looking out to sea and there was several boats, it may be that what you're looking at is, there's a boat that's a bit closer to you here. And it ends up looking more like that, three boats together on the ocean. You don't really have to do all those details. So if the boats are in moving and they're sailing, just simplify those shapes, just simplify them right down. Now I can show you some samples here of art that I've done with those simplified boats in. Hopefully that'll give you an idea of how I've done it. Maybe I've just used silhouettes, or maybe I've done some more abstract stuff and then added a couple of boats in later as little dark shapes. But my point is here, you really don't have to do all this detail unless you want to. I like doing the detail sometimes. Number two, movement. Now these are moving things. You know, a boat is an evocative, moving shape. If the boat is coming towards you, here we'll do one coming towards you. Say for example it was going downwind, it might have a spinnaker up, which is a big sail like that. So it may be upright. If the boat is going downwind, so let's just say for example away from us, downwind, it might have the boom out one side and then the foresail out the other, and then you're going to look at the back of the boat there, like that. So that's going away from us there. There's people in the back. So if the sails, if the mast's out one side and the foresail is out the other, that's called goose winging. Boats normally lean over. You know, when they're sailing, they tend to lean over unless they're going straight downwind. You know. So if you have an example here, here's the wind. So that's leant over and it's going into the wind. But what you're going to have, obviously, is a lot of, you know, splashing and a lot of waves and movement. So don't be afraid to draw a boat that's basically leaning over. Even if it's a sort of like, it could be a classic boat with a bowsprit and a couple of foresails. And this is a sort of classic sort of gaff rig type boat. And again, the sails are in tight, it's leaning over and it's heading up into the breeze. So the opposite of that is, obviously, as I mentioned here, is if it's going down the wind, and it could have a spinnaker up. And again, do try and get some movement in your lines, you know, try and be loose. Try and suggest some movement. And it could be splashing through the waves towards you or even away from you. So again, if a boat was on a broad reach like that, heading away from you, it might have its boom out like that, and that's what you're not going to see the rest of it behind. But say, for example, there's the hatchway. And the water's going to be, again, splashing up off there. And then we have some waves here. We can see some. But I will always go back and look at photos. I will always go back and look at shapes. And that's where sort of Boattober and things like that, for me, has been really useful, doing a boat drawing every single day for 30 days. Because you don't necessarily want to focus too much on the details, but you want to focus on the movement and the energy that you know these boats create as they go through the water. Number 3, abstraction. I'm going to get a bit of pencil and I'm going to create a sort of spinnaker shape, as if there's one slightly behind. Okay, and then we'll put some waves in there. Right, now what I'm going to use for this is I'm going to use my kids' felt tips, which is something that I've never done on a YouTube tutorial. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I like living dangerously. The little buggers have probably left the lids off them all anyway, so they're all knackered. But anyway, let's see what we get on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to colour in these areas here. Well, I've realised I've not recorded any of proper audio for this, so it's going to be a bit ropey. But that doesn't matter because, quite frankly, I'm a bit ropey today. Right, so instead of using... Okay. Right, so I'm going to leave that at that, but I'm just going to do a little bit of... a tiny bit of water, so like that. And then I'm going to get any old iron, any old brush. So I'm adding a little bit more contrast just in the foreground, just to give you a sense of a sea. Okay. Right, so I'll dry that and then we'll rub out the pencil. So there you go, I've ripped out some of the pencil lines and you can kind of see the effect. It's sort of two sailing boats on the sea. It's a little bit abstract, you know, you don't have to put, again, you don't have to show all the details. These are sort of two spinnakers, the colourful sails you see on the front of boats. So I hope you enjoyed some of those tips there. As always, have a play. The really nice thing about tutorials where it's all about simplification is it's quite fast. You know, you can just do some triangles and add some colour, splash some paint around, have a play and just enjoy it. Obviously there's a lot of stuff on my channel about boats. Feel free to stroll around some of those playlists. There's loads to learn when it comes. It's like painting or drawing anything. You know, it really helps to understand the subject. I'm going to probably be doing a lot more stuff about boats and maybe a longer series coming up. I'm still sort of trying to put it together in my head, but it'll be a lot of fun anyway. Okay, I'm going to go and get a cup of tea. And thank you for listening to me croaking. And if the sound was a bit funny on this one, I apologise. And we'll see you next time. Ahoy, ahoy. Yeah.
Teasing ready. Can you help me make a helicopter?
Make a helicopter?
Yeah.
What, a real one?
No, make a Lego helicopter.
Yeah, of course I can. No,
Thank you, Daddy.
That's a nice cuddle. Right, should we go downstairs then?
Yeah.
Come on then. I'll do the rest of this later.
I'll carefully bring this down for you.
Okay, that's kind.
What's it doing?
It's recording your voice.
Oh.